I'm Luke Mielke, helping you master the art of filmmaking. Today we're talking about... There's a lot of people out there debating whether you should shoot in 24p or 30p when you're shooting a film. They say 24p, that's just cinematic, the way we've always been doing it. Tradition! And there's others saying 30p, it's just more fluid and that's the way you should do it. That's the way the TV industry does things. But we also have to stop and think there are more frame rates than just 24 and 30. In our most recent film, This Present Moment, I had to debate what frame rate should I shoot. And I decided I actually shot it in 2 different frame rates at the same time. Most people never want to do something like that. It's taboo, you don't want to mix frame rates. But I did it intentionally this time. I shot in 60p and 30p and put it together in the same film. Now if you're watching this on a phone or a computer that's able to handle 60p, you're going to see the differences in just a minute on the difference looks between 60 and 30p. But the basic science behind why I did 60p and 30p in the same film is those frame rates can both work in the same project. I can't do 24p and 30p at the same time because those frame rates just don't line up right. They don't match. With every single frame in 30p, it's 2 frames in 60p. It acts smooth, it transitions very well, unlike 24p. The reason I did the 60p was in our character's memories or his past moments, everything was in 60p. It gave that kind of silky smooth, that almost dreamy feel. And then when the kids in the present moment, it was shot in 30p, which is not as smooth, it's a little more jittery. It made the energy, the action of the kids running around feel a little bit more jarring compared to the 60p. The reason why 60p looks a little bit smoother, not as jarring, is the human eye sees a frame rate of approximately 60 frames a second. I don't know exactly how they figured that out. Maybe they dissect an eye to figure that out, I don't know. 30p feels a little more jittery. And that's where it really comes down to a 24 and 30p. Which one is better? Well, 24 does have that classic cinema look. Because they've just done that way for years, they've done it way for almost 100 years. But they originally did it back closer to 15 frames a second, and they found out that caused some nausea issues and people getting headaches and watching things. So they upped it to 24, and that got away from having the nausea and the headaches and that, and didn't use up too much film, because film is just expensive, so they didn't want to use a lot of film. But it doesn't have as smooth of a look. When they moved over to the TV industry, they were able to do 30p. 24p doesn't have as smooth of a feel as 30p does, just like 30p doesn't have as smooth of a feel as 60p. And that's why there's some of that debate, should you actually do 24p instead of 30p, because it actually doesn't feel as real. And it helps give that almost that surreal feeling of, I am watching a movie, because it doesn't feel as real. They have done some films where they shot in higher frame rates, released in theaters, 3D, 48 frames a second. And people were saying it felt too real to the point where they didn't enjoy it anymore. Because instead of watching what feels like a film, they felt like they're watching real life happening in front of them. And it removed that ability to disconnect from, that's not reality, this is reality, let's have fun watching a movie. It felt like that became part of their actual world, and it just made them uncomfortable. Another reason for 24p, if you're doing special effects, there's less frames you have to worry about rendering, which means there's less frames you have to create effects for, which means faster rendering. There's less frames you have to key out and track and all the other special effects stuff. So it just makes it happen a lot faster in post-production, shooting in 24p. Now, the issue I had in this last film, the moments where I needed to do any type of special effects, where the hand disappears to the other hand, I happened to do that section in 60p and had to manually cut out the one hand as it went over the top, which was a real pain. Every time I've done super special effects, for some reason I was shooting higher frame rate. I need to stop doing that. That's really annoying. So that's basically the difference between 24, 30, and 60p. The higher frame rate, the smoother feel it's going to be. The lower the frame rate, the more classic cinema feel it's going to have. It's going to create that disconnect, make it feel like you're watching an artificial world versus reality. So if you enjoyed it, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like button, ring the bell, share it. If you have any ideas, thoughts, let us know in the comments below. If there's something else you'd want to know about filmmaking, or you really just want to know how did we do something in some of our films, or you have thoughts and ideas on other films, we'd love to hear from you about that as well. Go ahead and check out our other videos with our behind the scenes and the films we've actually been producing.